This is the Nike Adapt BB 2.0. So, unless you've been under a rock or something, you've probably already heard about Nike's Adapt series. The latest shoe in that series is the Nike Adapt BB 2.0, which is the evolution of a shoe that started way back in the 80s, the Nike Mag. Now, for those that are uninformed, the Nike Mag was a shoe from Back to the Future 2 that Michael J. Fox wore, and it basically allowed him to fly in the shoes laced by themselves. Here we are all these years later, and Nike finally introduces a shoe that laces, or technically tightens itself up by itself. But before we get into all of the details about the shoe, I figured we go back just a little bit and take a look at the evolution of how we got here where we are with this shoe when we started actually with this shoe. So this is the Nike Adapt. It was designed by Tiffany Beers, and it is the first attempt Nike made at making a self-lacing shoe that was available for the general public. And I say general public a little loosely because the shoe was pretty expensive. Back when these came out, they were $720. Yes, this is the most I've ever paid for a shoe, but at the time when this shoe arrived, it was the most technologically advanced shoe that we had at the time. Unlike the current shoes, this shoe, you had to connect an actual pellet to the bottom of it for it to charge. There was no way to loosen or tighten the shoes down here. You actually had to use the buttons that were here on the heel collar to tighten and loosen up the shoes. And it looked more like a running shoe than it looked like a basketball shoe. And I think that was the original intention from Nike. This was meant to be more of an everyday shoe as opposed to a basketball specific shoe, which is what we have now. Technically, I was told that this shoe was wear tested and that you could do things in it. You could run in it, you could play basketball, baseball, lift weights, and all those things in it. I actually never did any of that in this shoe, especially because of this. So this section right here is where the engine is housed, and it's almost exposed to the ground a little bit, and that just gave me pause. And so after the original Adapt, Nike started to fine tune things and brought things into the future, and that's when we got this shoe. This is the Nike Adapt BB. It's not a general purpose shoe. This was the first basketball specific shoe that Nike made with the electro-adaptive reactive lacing system, or EARL, which is what was in the original Adapt that I just showed you. This one had some very unique looks to it. Obviously, it had the translucent outsole. The buttons were moved down here to the midsole. There was a smartphone app that was introduced. They had this Cushlon foam, and it was made and tuned specifically for basketball. You had guys like Jason Tatum playing in the NBA using this shoe. From the Nike Mag to the Adapt to the Adapt BB to the Adapt BB 2.0, where we see some pretty dramatic changes from Nike when it comes to this shoe. One of the things that jumps out to me, first of all, is just the aesthetics of the shoe. They've changed it from the very sleek looking shoe that we saw with the Adapt BB to something that, in my mind, feels a little bit more bulky and a little bigger. They've also done a lot with the design language. The lines are a little more sleek and a little more pronounced. Certain sections of the shoe and materials of the shoe start to pop out a little more and give the shoe a little bit more character than it did with the original Adapt BB. The original Adapt BB, by comparison, looks almost plain based on all of the design changes that we see happen here on the 2.0. Now, one of the disadvantages of the 2.0, and let's get this out of the way right away, is that it costs $50 more. When the Adapt BB first came out, got excited because the price dropped from $720 to $350. But with this new version of the shoe, Nike has decided that there are enough refinements to it that they actually want to bump the price up $50. And so now these will cost you $400 for a pair. Now, something that a lot of people felt with the original Adapt BB 1.0 was that the shoes were a little difficult to get on, and that was because of the shroud. Now, with this pair, they've taken the shroud not completely away, but you can see that it's been reduced quite a bit so it doesn't follow all the way up to the top of the tongue. And the purpose of that is literally to give you better access into the shoe. So as you can see here, this extends all the way forward to allow you to get your foot inside the shoe when the laces are loosened up. Whereas with this one, there is a tongue here in the shroud. Although it is elastic, it's not giving you the type of room that you get with the BB 2.0. You also get the larger sized housing here for the tightening and loosening buttons. And again, that sort of angled look has a very futuristic style to it that gives the shoe a different look. And then finally, we have the heel. Now, I am personally not as big of a fan of the way that this heel is shaped. You look at the original Adapt BB where it just kind of pokes out just a little bit. You don't see like that dramatic, and with this one it definitely gets a lot more dramatic. If you compare those two, you can see how big of a difference is, and I don't think it has any sort of performance attributes or it's going to make you run faster or anything like that. I think this is literally just a flourish. As always, I'm Jacques Slade. Make sure you like, favorite, and subscribe. And again, let me know what you guys think about the Nike Adapt BB 2.0. I think it's a really cool sneaker. The price is high at $400, but if it is something that you're interested in, the technology and the potential of that technology, why don't you go ahead and cop yourself a pair. As always, guys, I'll see you soon. Peace.